once again for tuning in to KSU Gold. This show is being brought to you by Kentucky State University's College of Agriculture, Food Science, and Sustainable Systems in partnership with the Frankfurt Kiwanis Club. My name is Lindsay McGaha. I'm a media manager at Kentucky State University, and I'm your host. And on this show, we give our viewers a peek of our faculty, our staff, and our students in order for them to show and to continue our golden legacy of achievement here at Kentucky State University. On today's show, we have 2 professors in aquaculture and 1 researcher in aquaponics who are here to share all of their cutting-edge research in order to make sure that food in the United States is not only safe, but consumable as well as profitable. That brings me to our first guest, Dr. Boris Gomelski. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So tell us a little bit about what you do at Kentucky State University.
I would like to provide some information in one area I am working. This is actually about Japanese ornamental carp or koi. Ornamental carp is popular fish all over the world currently. So I kind of perform research on koi genetics. I would like to know that actually this topic is very specific. Before coming to Kentucky State University, I have worked in Israel in fish research station, and actually that time I already, during about 6 years, I performed studies on koi genetics. So when I came to KSU, I would say that I continued my study. I doubt that if I would if I could not perform similar study in Israel, I would continue because this topic is very specific.
Tell us about some of the research you're doing with koi.
Actually, I'm working on koi genetics. I investigate inheritance of mostly color traits, but some other traits. Also, I perform experiments on distant hybridization. I work on hybrids between koi, this is ornamental form of common carp, with goldfish. Goldfish is also ornamental fish, but this is other fish species. They are different. So this is mostly 2-direction studies on koi I perform.
So you do hybrids between goldfish and koi fish?
Yes.
Okay, koi is not a very, I guess it's very popular now, but at some point in time, koi wasn't very popular in the United States. Tell us how koi came to the United States or came to the Western Hemisphere and why it's so popular now.
I would say that koi in general originated and have been developed in Japan about 200 years ago. And in small ponds, it was one province in Japan, Niigata province, it's kind of on the north of Japan. They raised common carp for food for centuries, during long period of time. And about in the beginning of 1900s, they found some color mutation. And there they started to breed this fish, and finally they kind of developed koi. But this was kind of not immediate process. It was kind of continuation, these activities.
So in Japan, they used it for food. Is
No,
that right? Or was it,
no,
was it
actually-
used for ornamental, or was it an ornamental fish there
This
as
is
well?
I would say that not only in Japan, actually common carp is one of the most important aquaculture species in very many countries in Asia and in Europe. But it was introduced actually to United States also as for purpose maybe to use as edible fish to people to eat. But for many reasons it is kind of that common carp did not become popular edible fish. But koi actually, yes, this in Japan they also raised for food, and after they found this mutation, they developed ornamental form of common carp.
No, I've heard you use the term ornamental several times. What does that mean?
No, it means this koi, they're colorful, they're actually fancy and nice. Therefore, people never will eat koi, because koi kind of, if people keep koi in their garden ponds, they kind of considered koi as pets.
Okay.
Therefore, koi can live pretty long time, can be 30, 50 years, and even in kind of in small ponds, in garden ponds, it's very frequently koi live in the United States, hobbies 10, 15 years.
So typically, most people use koi inside of their garden ponds or even in maybe a fish tank. Would that be?
Yes,
are they too big for a fish tank?
No, practically for aquarium tanks, they are kind of big, I would say. That better in ponds, because they can, for example, to buy, for example, in pet store small koi and raise, but after that, fish become too large for that tank. So this is the problem with koi. For example, if to compare with goldfish is usually the largest size, it's about 10 inches. Koi can reach about 30, 35 inches.
Wow.
So therefore,
big fish.
yes, this is big fish, and therefore it's better to keep koi in outdoor ponds.
Now, there are over 200 varieties of koi fish. What are some common identifiers with koi that people can say, hey, this is a koi fish, and they'll know exactly what it is?
No, yes, this is kind of koi. It's very interesting fish. They are actually very variable. As you mentioned, there are about 200 varieties. But these 200 varieties can be kind of organized, combined with about 13, 14 main kind of groups, male color types. But interesting, there are multicolor koi, for example, 2-color, 3-color fish. For example, here you can see this is actually, it's kohaku. This is white fish with red patches. And practically it's hard to find two fish which would be exactly the same. And also value of fish depends on size and of these red patches and how these patches are located.
So they all look differently. So no koi fish looks the same, and a lot of them tend to have the red spots on them?
Yes, many, but practically there are kind of, it is complicated how to, it's very kind of, it's part of art, Japanese art, how to determine the value of specific koi. And by the way, I showed you magazine. This magazine was issued by organization. It's this magazine called Koi USA. This magazine is issued by organization, the Associated Koi Clubs in America. So actually hobbies, they try to be organized.
Gotcha.
They have clubs, and actually now in US about 100 clubs.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Grumelski, for being on the show. We've learned so much about koi fish. When we come back, we're going to hear from Dr. Andrew Ray and his discoveries that he's found in aquaculture.
Kentucky State is a great school to attend, especially because of the small class sizes. You get that one-on-one experience with your teachers, your mentors.
I've really enjoyed being here at Kentucky State University, working and studying with the professors and students here who are very knowledgeable, very engaging and very helpful.
You're able to actually talk to the professors. They're really caring and understanding and want to see you succeed. You also get in the field earlier. As a freshman, you're able to go out to the farms. You're able to do research projects.
After my undergrad degree in agriculture, I was looking forward to continue my studies. I was really interested in Kentucky State University, and I love the research programs here.
Kentucky State has prepared me for a career in agriculture because you get the experience of being able to do different research projects. You get to actually collect and analyze your data.
So it was a perfect fit, and really, really excited to be working in this field.
In 1947 alumni graduate Moneta Sleet Jr. became the first African American to win the Pulitzer Prize for photography. He was awarded for a photo that he captured of Coretta Scott King at Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral.
And I'm here with Dr. Andrew Ray. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes, well, we've heard a lot about, or we hear a lot about agriculture on the show. We talk a lot about that, but we don't hear that much about aquaculture. What is aquaculture, and what are students that are in that field of study learning?
Well, aquaculture is agriculture except in the water, basically. We grow fish and shrimp, shellfish like oysters, basically anything that lives in the water. And we use aquaculture to grow products for food production largely, but also for other reasons like stock enhancement programs and things of that nature.
Okay, well, our aquaculture department is very vast. We have researchers that do things from genetics to water quality. You do water systems. Tell us about the systems that you are creating and why they're helpful.
Yeah, a lot of the systems I work with personally are recirculating aquaculture systems. We basically can put animals, I focus a lot on shrimp, and we can put them in a tank and feed them, and we use filters to clean the water. Not too much unlike you would use filters in your home swimming pool to keep the water clean. And by doing that, we use very little water. The water we put in is basically what we continue to reuse, aside from, say, evaporation. And in my case, what that allows us to do is actually we add salt to the water in a lot of times, and we can grow marine shrimp right here in Kentucky with no ocean water access.
Wow. Well, you know, I'm a big seafood fan, so I love the study of it, obviously. Many areas are not able to grow shrimp on a continual basis year-round. Tell us about Kentucky State's efforts to grow shrimp or raise shrimp all year-round and how we're able to do that.
Yeah, so most people in the United States don't have access to fresh shrimp, especially. We can get frozen shrimp tails at the supermarket and at restaurants at times. But fresh shrimp is a higher quality product. It's a lot of people like to cook the animal whole. And so what we're able to do in these recirculating aquaculture systems is basically situate the system just about anywhere. We're looking at using repurposed agriculture or urban space to grow shrimp, and that way we can grow the shrimp near the market. And so there's quite a few inland shrimp farms that are being developed now in order to be able to do that. And Kentucky State University, I feel, is at the leading edge of some of the research that's facilitating that development in the U.S.
Now, can you grow shrimp and other fish or seafood together?
Sure. Yeah, we are looking at some aquaponics. We're looking at some salt-tolerant plants that could take up some of the nutrients from the systems. We've also grown shrimp and tilapia together. A lot of times we get algae and zooplankton in the water, and that algae and zooplankton serve as a food source for shrimp and for other animals too. In fact, we've grown tilapia with shrimp without feeding the tilapia. They've just eaten the algae out of the water and been able to grow pretty well.
Well, there's often a lot of worry or concern about buying fish, a lot of times because of contaminations like mercury. What's the best type of fish to purchase, and what should consumers look for when they go to grocery stores?
Well, there are some seafood monitoring programs that rank seafood items. I would look, you can do an internet search and find some of those ranking programs. Shrimp is usually a pretty good product. Any of the products that are grown in the United States, though, are going to undergo FDA inspection. They're going to undergo state and federal regulations to make sure that the products are safe for consumers. So if you're eating U.S. seafood, wild caught or farm raised, you're going to be safe.
You do a lot of work with the community. And I love that about Kentucky State University because we have lots of different partnerships. The partnerships that you work with are with Montessori schools in Lexington and Versailles. Tell us a little bit about those partnerships and how students are benefiting from it.
Yeah, at Versailles Montessori and at Providence Montessori, we've built a 20 by 48 foot high tunnel greenhouse at each one, which is just a real simple greenhouse with plastic covering it, and in each of those are 2 recirculating aquaculture systems. And so the students this semester grew koi because they're a really pretty tough fish that was a good candidate to start with. The students are involved in stocking the fish, measuring the fish, they take care of the fish every day, they go to feed them. They learn a lot about water quality, they learn a lot about designing systems. Also in the greenhouses are some plant beds, so they're learning about integrating not only aquaculture but also plant culture and how the two can be conducted in a space like a greenhouse.
Wonderful. And these are elementary and middle school students?
They're primarily elementary and middle school. The Versailles is primarily elementary, although they do go to 6th grade. Providence is a middle school. We also have a partnership with the with the Lexington Montessori High School as well, who are sharing resources with Providence. So actually we're reaching out to students from 18 months old in Versailles all the way up to 12th grade in Lexington.
That's very impressive. If a person or a student was interested in becoming a student here, so say we had a high school student or maybe even a transfer student that was interested in aquaculture, what would they be able to take away in the program?
Well, we do quite a lot of things. Aquaculture is a really good facilitator for STEM education. And STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the science aspects include biology, physics. The technology includes water monitoring systems, lots of different types of technology that can be applied there. Engineering includes building these systems and designing them, implementing new changes. And so it's a really good model for STEM education, and they would be able to get jobs in things like wildlife agencies around the country, fish hatcheries, aquaculture farms, water management facilities. Managing water in general is a worldwide issue. We need water in all of our communities, clean drinking water, as well as treated municipal water before it's discharged from the municipality. And so aquariums, public aquariums, private aquariums, the list goes on and on. Our students generally get pretty good jobs when they graduate.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about the research projects that you're currently working on in your department.
Well, like I said, I do a lot of shrimp aquaculture, especially indoor shrimp aquaculture. We're looking at systems that could be placed in a variety of structures, like I said, agriculture structures and the like. And so we're looking at management techniques for those systems, possibly using artificial light to facilitate more algae in the water, looking at different filtration technologies, looking at polyculture, growing multiple species, using the same resources to enhance production. We're looking at things like added substrate, managing the systems in a better way to conserve water, conserve nutrients, and enhance production of aquatic animals.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Dr. Ray, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for coming on. Best wishes to you and all of your research. Well, you all, when we come back, we'll be hearing from Janelle Hager, a research associate in aquaponics, and we'll hear how Kentucky State University is growing food to feed the homeless.
Kentucky State is a great school to attend, especially because of the small class sizes. You get that one-on-one experience with your teachers. They're really caring and understanding and want to see you succeed. You also get in the field earlier. As a freshman, you're able to go out to the farms, you're able to do research projects. Kentucky State prepares you for a field in agriculture by the multiple resources that are available to you, the people that you get to meet, and all the cool things you get to do.
Kentucky State University is among the top universities in the South, according to recently released 2017 U.S. News and World Report College Rankings.
I'm here with Janelle Hager, Research Associate in Aquaponics.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, what is aquaponics?
Yeah, well, aquaponics is, as we've been talking about on the show today, is aquaculture, which is raising fish either, in a large body of water, in a pond or tank. In aquaponics, we typically raise our fish in tanks. And with aquaponics, we have the added hydroponic component, which is growing plants without the use of soil.
So you're raising fish and growing a plant at the same time?
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So aquaponics is a way to grow fish and plants in the same system. And what the plants do is they actually filter the water from the fish production and allow us to recirculate that water back into the fish tank.
So how are aquaculture, or the study of aquaculture, and aquaponics kind of related?
Yeah, so with aquaponics and aquaculture, it's basically just taking, aquaponics takes a waste stream that we would typically discharge, like our solids or water from our aquaculture systems, and we use those to grow plants. So in aquaculture, we have a lot of nitrogen left over in our system, and the plants love the nitrogen. That's their preferred food source. And so by doing that, we can kind of like conserve our water resources and grow two products with what would typically be considered a waste product of the other.
Now, are you doing one first? So do you typically have the fish and grow the fish and then take the same water and use it with plants, or are you doing them both at the same time?
Yeah, it's both at the same time. They're located in separate tanks. So what we have is we generally, like you see this diagram here, the fish is in a separate tank. This is just kind of a little demonstration, but you kind of get the point from it. The fish is located in a tank, and then the water is pumped up into a plant bed, and then the water recirculates back into the fish tank. And so this water it's pretty clean. It's really, the plants take up all the nutrients and all the nitrogen in the water, and then clean water is recirculated back into our fish tank. In our larger systems that we have here at KSU, we have components that are really similar to aquaculture. So we have a solids removal component, a biofiltration component, a polishing step before it enters our hydroponic beds, and then the water runs through our plant beds. The roots are hanging down in the water. I'm not sure you can see it on this one, and then they take up all that nitrogen, all those nutrients, and then the water is recirculated back into our fish tank.
Now, what are you actually growing here?
And this is just a little sample of kind of the typical plants you'll see in aquaponic systems. Primarily, they're focused on leafy greens. So here we have lettuce, there's tatsoi, kale. Other plants you'll see are Swiss chard. In some cases, you'll see tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, all kinds, peppers, all kinds of things like that.
Now, why is this type of research important?
So what we really see in the market is people wanting sustainable produce, and aquaponics is a sustainable agriculture method. And so a lot of what the consumer demand is wanting those products that are locally grown and sustainably produced. So we see a lot of that driving the aquaponics market. In addition, aquaponics can be done in places that aren't really suitable for traditional agriculture, like places where the soil might not be great for agriculture, or in urban environments that the food has to travel not as far to actually get to the consumers.
Could you use it in places where there are droughts as well?
Absolutely, yeah. One of the most popular states is California to do aquaponics, and one of the major reasons is that we can produce more plants and also fish in a really small amount of space with very limited water resources. In aquaponics, we typically see about 70 to 80% water savings over soil-based agriculture.
What type of plants have we been successful in, have we been successful in growing?
We're successful in growing a lot of different types of plants. A lot of our research that we do here is primarily focused on the leafy greens. So we do, like I said, a lot of lettuces, kales, Swiss chards, things like that. And one of the main reasons why producers are focusing on those plants is because they grow really quickly in the system, and they can be harvested quicker, and so that's a greater return on profit for producers.
What typically doesn't grow well in water?
For some reason I've had a really hard time growing cilantro. I don't know why, but that one seems to be a little tough. With some of our fruiting crops like tomatoes and cucumbers, it's hard to get the amount of nutrients needed in our typical deep water culture systems to support those plants. But you can really do anything as long as you have the good management to go with it.
Now, many people may say, well, we have, a system that seems to work, which is growing food in soil.
Right.
And I know in areas where there's drought or in areas where the soil may not be great, but what are the benefits for someone that may decide to have an aquaponic system maybe in their backyard or something like that? What are the benefits of growing it in water as opposed to growing it in soil?
Sure. A lot of what happens with the aquaponics is, I think why it draws so many people in is because it's pretty easy to do, once you kind of get past that initial setup period. But primarily, I think that people are interested in aquaponics because of those water-saving resources. The soil-based agriculture takes a lot of land and a lot of space. And with aquaponics, you can really pack your vegetables a lot tighter because you don't have to worry about them taking up all the nutrients from the soil. The fish really deliver a constant access of nutrient-rich water right to the plants all the time. So it's really we see, like I said, we see a little bit faster plant growth rates, and you can kind of get more plants in a smaller space.
So it grows faster in water. How fast does it grow in water in comparison to soil?
With, if you want to take lettuce, for example, after it goes into if we plant a seedling into our system, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get a really nice standard head of lettuce. In the soil, you're looking at about 3 to 4 weeks. Okay. So it could be, a few days, or it could be up to a week. For the farmer, which is a big deal when you're talking about rotating your crops.
Now, can consumers purchase aquaponics grown plants inside stores like lettuce, or is that something that they're still doing research on?
In Kentucky, aquaponics is becoming really popular. We're starting to see more aquaponic producers be in grocery stores. You can pick up some, like at Lucky's Market in Lexington. I know one of our aquaponics producers, Bluegrass Aquaponics, has their produce there. A lot of places you'll find aquaponics produce now is farmers markets. And if you look on restaurants who are really focused on Kentucky Proud products in their restaurants, you'll see a lot of aquaponic produce there.
Now, I'm always proud of Kentucky State and our partnerships. We talked with Dr. Ray about the partnerships that we have with the schools there, but the aquaponics department is also doing a partnership with the local homeless shelter.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, we have a great relationship with the folks down at the Soup Kitchen here in Frankfort. We have 6 replicated research systems that we do all of our research in an indoor building. And we also have a converted high tunnel that we have a much larger demonstration system in. And the majority of our produce that we take out of that demonstration system goes straight to the Soup Kitchen. So we've partnered with the speech teacher, Dr. Brogan here, and done cooking with their class. We've made meals. We've done fish fries down there with collard greens and our whole fried fish. So it's been a pretty interesting partnership, and also exposing people that may not have access to those fresh vegetables and fresh protein. It kind of gives them a way to try new things and get the nutrition that they need.
That is absolutely wonderful. Continue the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You all, thank you once again for tuning into KSU Gold. Be sure to check out the show every Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. Until next time.